Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Cross-examinations will begin in a moment. Thank you for being here. Trying to get some things done in the background. Hopefully you can't see what's happening, 'cause I'm trying to figure out. And we are live. We will begin shortly. If you can hear me. If you can hear me, type 1 in the chat. Do I want to pop this chat out? Let's see, let's do I'll pop out chat. And then let's do a pop out. No super chats. And we'll just leave that open. I don't think I'll see those anyways. And let's go to top chat. Alright. Cross-examinations. Let us go to my channel. Creator Studio. Nope, not channel. Regular. Live now. Yeah, this. 5 people watching. Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Alright. Here we go. Oh no! Stanley died. Are you serious? Okay. Wow. That's a bump in the road. Alright.
The Blacklist Universe. You'll believe in heroes again.
And hello. Welcome to Cross-Examinations. Stanley died. Are you serious? That is upsetting. Gosh, now I wish I had not made that joke to Ethan yesterday. Man. Alright, well, anyways, welcome to Cross-Examinations. Now I guess we're going to go into this inception moment. Sorry, I have the hood on and everything. I hope you can hear me alright. That's sad. How do you like my new intro? My son made that. Sad day. It is a sad day. We lament the loss of Stanley Leibowitz, the great creator and great marketer, honestly. Well, shoot, that just bumps. Gives me a great... Why did I have to find this out as I'm starting the stream? Well, shoot, rest in peace, Stanley. I was gonna do this this Blue Letter Bible study, or not Bible study, but daily devotional. Let's read it and see if it has any relation to Stan the Man Lee. Man, how's that? All right, 1 Peter 1 through 7, King James Version. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. Their devotional says, and I love Blue Letter Bible, it is a great resource. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do. Their devotional says, faith untried may be true faith, but it is sure to be little faith, and it is likely to remain dwarfish so long as it is without trials. Faith never prospers so well as when all things are against her. Tempests are her trainers, and lightnings are her illuminators. When a calm reigns on the sea, spread the sails as you will, the ship moves not to its harbor. For on a slumbering ocean the keel sleeps too. Let the winds rush howling forth, and let the waters lift up themselves then, though the vessel may rock, and her deck may be washed with waves, and her mast may creak under the pressure of the full and swelling sail. It is then that she makes headway towards her desired haven. No flowers wear so lovely a blue as those which grow at the foot of a frozen glacier. No stars gleam so brightly as those which glisten in the polar sky. No water tastes so sweet as that which springs amid the desert sand. And no faith is so precious as that which lives and triumphs in adversity. Tried faith brings experience. You could not have believed your own weakness had you not been compelled to pass through the rivers, and you would never have known God's strength had you not been supported amid the water floods. Faith increases in solidity, assurance, and intensity the more it is exercised with tribulation. Faith is precious, and its trial is precious too. Let not this, however, discourage those who are young in faith. You will have trials enough without seeking them. The full portion will be measured out to you in due season. Meanwhile, if you cannot yet claim the result of long experience, thank God for what grace you have. Praise Him for that degree of holy confidence whereunto you have attained. Walk according to that rule, and you shall have yet more and more of the blessings of God, till your faith shall remove mountains and conquer impossibilities. That would have been a really good a good devotional for our last episode. But how can that relate to Stan the Manly? I mean, obviously the man had his own trials, and his passing is a trial to his family and his friends, and in some sense, I guess, the entire community of comic fans. Gosh, I'm at a loss, man. Honestly, this is a yeah. I mean, you knew it was coming. I mean, the guy was like 90, what, 93, 94, 95, something like that, and you knew it was coming, but still. That's a good point. Retro Graphics Book says Stan's death makes all this fighting feel extremely petty. Yeah. Darn it all. Darn it all. It really makes, I don't know, it's kind of addled my brain. This is I didn't want to. I tried to do cross-examinations as a show about obviously faith and Christianity and apologetics and whatnot. Most of the rest of my channel is about comic books and comic-related stuff. But I don't know. I can't exactly give the man a eulogy. I didn't. I mean, I know him as part of, as all of you know him as. I mean, he's been a voice in our heads since we were all kids. Heck, even before Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. You know, those old 70s, horribly done cartoons where it's like they do this still frame. They're like motion comics, honestly. Do you remember those old motion comics cartoons they had? They were like, they'd read it out, and it would, instead of animation, it would be like they'd cut out the Hulk, and the Hulk would just be like floating across the screen, across the background. I mean, honestly, it was the original motion comics, but they called it animation. But the voice at the beginning of all of those shows was Stan Lee introducing, this amazing story and calling us all true believers. And, and then ending the show with Excelsior. And yeah, he's just been this voice in our heads, this voice on our TVs, and this presence in our lives um, my entire life. I'm sure everyone's entire life. I mean, that was the great thing about Stan and his capacity to market. Um, I don't want to just talk about him. Let's get a good picture. Stan Lee. Um, his capacity to market himself. Stan Lee, Daily Mail. Let's go to. I like that picture. Let's go to this one. Dead at 95 years old. Stan Lee was a man. Everyone says like Stan. Um, this long going feud with Stan, and not feud, but I don't even know what the right word is. This discrepancy between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. But I've read Jack Kirby's work, and without Stan Lee, you can only get so far on great artwork, great energetic, original artwork, whatever you want to call it. But Stan Lee took Jack Kirby's ideas and really made exciting stories that changed the entire face of not just our industry, but I mean, it's changed the face of culture and pop culture, and it really is a great I don't know, a tribute to not just his ability to write, put words down on paper, but to market himself, his company, his properties. Stan Lee may not have been, the best writer. Who's the best writer on earth? I don't know. I'm not saying this to belittle anything the man did. I'm just saying that like in skateboarding, right? Tony Hawk isn't the best skateboarder on earth. I mean, that's again not to belittle. Tony Hawk's a freaking phenomenal skateboarder, but Tony Hawk is, out of all of the Bones Brigade, out of all of the skaters from the 70s and the 80s and the 90s to today, Tony Hawk is legitimately the only name that everybody on earth knows, right? It's because he's a marketing genius. He's a business genius. He knows. He knew how to get his name out there. He knew how to be the front man for an entire industry. That was Stan Lee in comics, and for how long? Well, how old was he? Like, he was in his 30s, I think, when he started, something like that. So for like 60 years, for like 3 generations, Stan Lee has been, I've said it all the time, Stan Lee was the only famous person in the comic book industry, the only famous creator in comics. And people are like, oh, Todd McFarlane, oh, Rob Liefeld. I'm like, no, not even Jack Kirby. You can ask any normie. Here's the weird thing. You ask any normie who created any superhero, who created Batman, they'll say Stan Lee, because they don't know. They think it's Marvel, and they think that Stan Lee created it. That's how ubiquitous his name is in the world when it comes to people knowing anyone famous in comics. You have to have at least a decent modicum of understanding. And I'm sorry, I know this is cross-examinations, but we are eulogizing Stan Lee, because I just found out as we came in that Stan the Man dead at 95. Let's see what this article has to say about Stan the Man anyways. Stan Lee, the legendary Marvel Comics co-creator and publisher, has died at 95. Kirk Schenck, an attorney for Lee's daughter J.C. Lee, confirmed to the Associated Press that Lee was declared dead at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. The beloved god of the Marvel Universe was behind superheroes like Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, the X-Men, the Avengers, and the Fantastic Four. Lee was known for his cameos in Marvel movies as well. Yeah, and that was the great thing, is the world having a face for that voice, right? I mean, all of us, like nerds, all of us who grew up reading Marvel comics, because he always had a little cartoon of himself, like in the Marvel bullpen, in the back of the comics, right? We knew at least a cartoon version of what Stan Lee looked like. But when the movies started coming out, and somehow or another Stan got a cameo in every single one of them. I don't know if it was in his contract or what, but it was brilliant marketing, and it became this great Easter egg that everybody looked for in every Marvel movie. I was just thinking how much I I love the one in Thor Ragnarok when he comes out as a guy who's gonna cut Thor's hair off. That's funny. Anyways, Lee celebrated his 95th birthday in December, but showed no signs of putting his career to rest. Oh. He talked to CBS Sunday Morning about his career and said of retirement, "That's a dirty word. Well, retired to do what? I'm doing what I want to do, so why would I want to retire from it?" God bless him. God bless Stan Lee, because that is legit how I feel, man. I never want to retire. And, hearing those words from him, and, I mean, a lot of people were saying for the last couple of years, it's like, hey, put him out to pasture. It's like freaking, he was going out to these conventions and, like, having somebody, like, lift up his arm to sign the next book, right? Lift up his arm, sign the next book. But Stan, I think, probably as much or more than anyone else in this industry, loved his fans and wanted to serve his fans. And obviously the man didn't need the money. He's at death's door. He's 95 years old. And he would travel to all over the country, from con to con to con, to meet to meet fans, and it wasn't to give him that thrill, right? It was to give the fans that thrill. It was to give the fans that ability to get that signature from the god of Marvel Comics, the god of the Marvel Universe, the creator of the pop culture icons that have changed the face of entertainment over the last, well, I'm just going to say over the last 60 years, but I mean, primarily over the last, 20 years, probably since the Marvel, the first good Marvel movie. I could be off base here, but I think it was Spider-Man. Was that 1998? I think, roughly. I'm trying to remember exactly what year these things came out. 2000, 2001? No, maybe it was around 2000. I just remember the World Trade Center ad, and then, so maybe it was 2001 it came out. Of course, I might be thinking about Spider-Man 2. Anyways, for about 2 decades now. Now I lost my train of thought, but it's changed the very hell, it's changed the world. And Stan Lee did that. Without Stan Lee was the House of Ideas. All right, Marvel wasn't the House of Ideas. Marvel was Stan Lee's house. And you know, you guys have heard me complain about Stan creating the X-Men and then just kind of phoning it in after that, because in his own words, you know, it's like, well, they were just born with it. Which takes away all of the interesting origin stories from all of the freaking mutants, and then the mutants just overpopulated the entire Marvel universe. But anyways, yeah, man, the guy, he was the House of Ideas, and they've been kind of a shell of a company for a while. I think their creative, you know, I kind of blame Image for turning Marvel into the shell of the company that it is, but that's sort of tangential. I can, you know, I was going to do an Image video later today, but now the Stan Lee thing's happened, and I don't know, maybe we need to take a step back from that. But on another sense, and this, I don't want to be weird about it, but Stan's death could be very much symbolic of the death of the old guard, the old way, the old industry. And we are now in the stage of birthing a new industry. And hey, you know what? My middle name is Stan Lee. It's pronounced Stanley, but you know. That was ridiculous. Sorry, I apologize for that. But yeah, why retire? I've never wanted to retire, so I'm right there with you, Stan. I'm glad you did what you love doing right up until the end. I pray you had a true and deep faith with Yahweh, the God of your fathers. And I pray that you are in Abraham's bosom as we speak, or with the Lord. Last August, he revisited his career with a tribute in Beverly Hills called Stan Lee Extraordinary. Ruffalo, Aisha Taylor, Lou Ferrigno, RZA, and comics creator Todd McFarlane were among the speakers at the event hosted by Chris Hardwick. Lee, who was born Stan Lee, just like me, Martin Lieber, in 1922, grew up in the Bronx during the Great Depression. He started working at a publishing house with a division called Timely Comics in 1939. That's where Lee got his start in storytelling. I'd fill the ink wells. In those days, they used ink, he told Sunday Morning. I'd run down and get them sandwiches at the drugstore, and I'd proofread the pages, and sometimes in proofreading I'd say, you know, this sentence doesn't sound right. It ought to be written like this. Well, go ahead and change it. They would care. They didn't care. Lee helped shape characters like Destroyer, Father Time, and Jack Frost at Timely Comics. Later, when he joined the army, he found that his skills were best used drawing. He illustrated a poster telling soldiers how not to get BD. I drew a little soldier, very proudly, he recalled, and he's saying, BD, not me, as he walks in. They must have printed 100 million of those. I think I won the war single-handedly with that poster. On Sunday, his Twitter account revealed that Lee's official title in the Army was Playwright in honor of Veterans Day. Oh, that's right. Happy Veterans Day, everyone. Although, less happy today. A veteran going home to be with God. By the 1960s, Timely Comics became Marvel Comics, and Lee was using his pen to inject social issues into his art. That's when he created Spider-Man. I saw a fly crawling on a wall, and I thought, gee, what if a guy could stick to walls like an insect? Lee recalled. That sounds good. So I started to think of some names. Insect Man? Nah. Mosquito Man? Nah. And then I got to Spider-Man. Spider-Man. Ooh, that sounds dramatic. And if he has spider power, he can shoot a web also. And he could swing. Oh man. and then I figured I'd make him a teenager. And I figured I would do the unthinkable. I'd give him personal problems. I ran into my publisher and said, "Have I got an idea for you? His name is Spider-Man." And I couldn't get any further. He said, "Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard." Of course, the publisher was wrong, and Spider-Man sparked the Marvel Revolution. Yeah, Spider-Man, up until Spider-Man, and this was the genius of making him a teenager. Up until Spider-Man, all of the superheroes were grown men, right? Captain America, Superman, Batman, and the teenagers were their little sidekicks. You know, you had Bucky, you had Steamboat. For those of you who remember Steamboat from Captain Marvel, you had Robin and Stan. I'm positive with Spider-Man came up with the first like teenage superhero, and which was funny because a large part of the reading population were teenagers. So um, yeah, I think that's why it rang such a bell and became such a hit. um, In spite of Lee's inextricable ties to Marvel, the relationship was fraught. One due to legal issues. Was a fraught one due to legal issues. Lee never owned the characters and found himself cut out of many profits. "I try not to think about it," he said. "I'm having too much fun with the rest of my life. There's no point going back and saying, I should have done this or I could have done that. You know, what does it gain you?" Profound, profound words. And words of faith, because wherever you are in your life, if you had done anything different, even the worst stuff you've done, you wouldn't have what you have. The blessings that you have now, the relationships that you have now, the children you have now, you wouldn't have them now had you stepped on a butterfly earlier in your life. You know, the butterfly effect. And yeah, so I mean, I've had those what if this had happened scenarios. I was supposed to be hired at Wildstorm in 1993. I was supposed to be part of the Jeff Scott Campbell, Alex Garner, Jason Scott, I think. Wait, no, that's wrong. That's not right. Matt Broom. That class, right, of original Wildstorm Young Guns. I was supposed to be in that class, and it was taken away from me, and I mean, look where those guys ended up. But I don't resent it because of where I am now. I could have had a completely different life, and I wouldn't want that completely different life. I want my life now, with all my problems, with all my financial difficulties, with all the bumps and the twists in the road that I've had. I wouldn't want anything else because I am where I am now, and I am so grateful for the life that I have now, right? And this is a similar thing that Stan's saying here, and I love that he said it. So, Lee certainly had fun with cameos in the Marvel movies dating back to 1989. Ooh, what was in 1989? 89 was Punisher. Oh my gosh, I don't think I even watched that whole movie. Well, did Stan Lee have a I remember it was 89 because I was working in a movie theater and it came out that year. Um, in 2018 alone, he appeared in Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Deadpool 2, Avengers Infinity War, and Venom. Lee sued Marvel in 2002 and settled with the comic book giant for an undisclosed seven-figure amount. Good going, Stan. He was also given the title Chairman Emeritus of Marvel Enterprises. In February, Lee was hospitalized, but a spokesperson for Lee told CBS News, Stan is doing well and feeling good. He's staying there for a few days for some checkups as a safety precaution. Last July, Lee's wife, Joan, died at 93. The couple had been married for 69 years and shared a daughter, Joan. Well, man, 69 years together. That makes him my hero, man. That's fantastic. And that's very common when a couple has been alive and married together for, 40, 50, 60 years. This is almost 70 years. And one of them passes away, the other one doesn't last very long. There's I don't know if that's a spiritual thing that begets the physical bond that when you've shared a heart with somebody for that long and then that heart departs, the other half doesn't survive much longer. And it seems like it's last July, so a year and not even a year and a half. But yeah, God bless both of them. Woo, that's sad. That is sad. Let's bump over here and see what you guys have to say. F, 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 F. I'm moving at this. It changed the world. It did change the world. Stan Lee will go down as one of America's greatest storytellers. He's as important as Hemingway and Twain. Yeah, I mean, as important as, again, writing-wise, it's comic books. I understand that comic books is not considered great literature, and here I am in the middle of it. But but he's changed more than that, because comic books, for good or ill, is pop culture, which means that it is the culture that the most people, it's the literature, it's the entertainment that touches the most lives because it reaches the most people. So you can make the argument that Stan Lee is more important than Hemingway or Mark Twain, especially in today's culture where we don't even bother teaching the great literature anymore. Zen of the Stoics says, not now, that Tony Hawk is 89. But that Tony Hawk, skateboarding has never been as big, so that Tony Hawk is still the only guy that everybody knows. Probably more important to most people. He rebooted his life at 40 and changed the whole world. Yeah, Kirby too. Kirby didn't create the Fantastic Four until he was 44 years old. So me being 47, thinking it's time to start my universe, I'm okay with that. Scott Bruckner, I had to hide that, but it says Stan Lee is going to heaven. Let us all hope. That's God's job to judge. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that is the case. Rip Stan, thanks for all you've done. Amen. Amen. The face of the comic book industry. Absolutely, Zeno. He is absolutely the face of, and the only, like I said, the only face everybody knows. This is weird. It's like I'm watching like this Inception where, because I think there's like a 15 or 30 second delay. Hey, let me do this. 1,000, 2, 1,000. I'm not going to count that one. But you see how long that delay is between that clap. Okay, yeah, it looks like it's about 15 seconds. And then watch. And now 15 seconds later, the next one will go, and the next one will go, and the next one. It's just going to go down this infinite loop. He was the god of Marvel and a good man. Yep. Not everyone knew Stan, but everyone knew his creations. But no, everyone knows Stan. I mean, they don't know him, but pretty much as many people know Spider-Man probably know Stan Lee or know his name, you know. He was so good at marketing himself. I will never be as good at marketing myself as Stan Lee is at marketing himself. It's just not, it's not in me to do it. But I will try to create some great characters and entertain people like Stan did. He is my namesake, so I do have something to live up to. I'm going to just start saying it out loud. My name is Mike Stanley Miller. It's funny, as a kid I was always embarrassed of my middle name. But man, it's Stan Lee. It's Stanley. Pretty sure Stan played an Eternal in the movies. What? Nuclear sandwich. We lost another one. Excelsior! Yep, Excelsior Stan. Excelsior. Retrographic books. Stan's voice was my entire childhood. Those 80 cartoons he did the introduction for. Yeah, it wasn't just the 80s cartoons, dude. It was the 80s cartoons. It was the 70s cartoons. It was those. I think they were 60s cartoons. Those motion comic ones. I'm not entirely sure. But. Sadness makes me seek vengeance. Is the lawyer that stole his blood in hail. Yet it was true. Rip Stan Lee. Devastating. Nobody forced Stan to work, dude. Stan was, I mean, I'm 100% with him. I never want to retire. Why on earth? What's to do when you retire? Especially after his wife passed away. It's like, you know, I understand staying home and spending time with your wife, with your kids, with your grandkids, whatever. But man, if God forbid something happened to my wife, yeah, I'd probably throw myself into my work completely. I don't know. I think I'm going to watch Mallrats today. 2002. Oh, did Spider-Man come out in 2002? Okay. I never cry over this sort of thing. Ever. Mr. Thundero is crying right now, I think. Current Hollywood box offices are dominated entirely by his creations. He changed the world. That is correct. That is correct. That's what I'm saying. He is more important as a creator, as a writer, to the totality of modern pop culture, which is culture, than any other fiction writer I can think of. You know, he's a powerful force. May 2002. Thank you, Hulk Smash. Mr. Thunder, but it's Stan Lee, the Godmaker. It wasn't after 9/11 because they pulled the posters and trailers because they had towers in them. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, it's been so long, I couldn't remember if that was Spider-Man 1 or Spider-Man 2, but yeah. That's what I mentioned, the posters, the tower. Image pulled a Caesar on Marvel, but as a kid, it was cool. Image, what Image did, prior to Image, people would create characters because they wanted them to be published at Marvel. You know? It's like, man, I have freaking Super Laser Man, and it's my dream to have Super Laser Man fighting, Doc Ock and teaming up with the Fantastic Four, and you know. And after Image, it was all this creators' rights, and you know, I don't belittle creators' rights, but it was so one note, one single-sided. It just drained all of the creative juices out of Marvel. because everyone was panning for gold. It was the gold rush. It was the comic book gold rush, right? Because you had these groups of guys over here who found the gold, created Image, made millions of dollars, and then I don't want to call it a Ponzi scheme because it's not, but I think the gold rush is the best way to say it. They went over to Image, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to create my own thing, and it's going to get toy deals, and it's going to get movie deals, and video games, and all this stuff. And it's like, no, man, that's not how life works. You would literally have a better chance of making money on a character if you created a great character and you signed it over to Marvel. Well, actually, if you signed it over to DC, DC gives creators a much better deal than Marvel. But say you did create a character. You know what? Rob Liefeld right now is sitting pretty on royalties from Deadpool, from Cable, from Domino, right? I guarantee you, Rob is not upset at all that he didn't hold Deadpool in his back pocket until he started Image and create him there. Because Deadpool, right? Deadpool wouldn't have been Deadpool at Image. Deadpool would have been, and also ran at Image. Just like, Rob's got just as many creative, cool characters from Brigade, from Youngblood, from all of his stuff. Where are they? Right? And yeah, it took 10 years of creative development hell to get Deadpool made. But that's just what I'm saying. If he had created Deadpool after he had created Image, Deadpool would not be producing residual checks in the millions for Rob right now. Just wouldn't happen. So, yeah, I think there was. It was just this one. So all these creators were like panning for gold, and it's like you didn't realize that there was a gold mine there already in production. If you wanted to be a worker at the gold mine, you could get paid, and if you struck a particularly nice vein of gold, then you'd get these great bonuses and stuff. But instead, they all freaking moved over to California, grabbed a little pan and a donkey, and started shoveling sand. And how many of them struck gold after the original Image founders? I think the percentage is very, very low. And in the process, completely drained the house of ideas. Anyways, this is not. I'm going to change. I might change the title of this because this is not a valid cross-examination. But what the heck? Nah, I'll just leave it. It is what it is. I'm going to have to probably wrap it up soon because my battery is dying. 13%. Wow. OBS must suck batteries faster than regular. Heavy heart. Feel that. Yep. His publisher sounds like J. Jonah James. Yeah, Stanley's 99. Trial of the Incredible Hulk. Oh, okay. Endless mics. Yeah. That's what it is. Endless mics. So, well, heck. Let's go back here. I don't know if that's going to show up. Stan's characters inspire generations to think of others before themselves, to love their family, community, and country, and to find the beauty and blessings in their brokenness. Yeah. Yep, that's great. I'm probably gonna wrap this one up in a minute here, and I'm going to jump right back on from inside the house, and let's talk about this and other things. I was going to do that image comics one, but we can actually kind of wrap all that up together. So thanks for being here. I'm sorry my battery is almost dead, so I can't do this whole doing a whole hour today. Plus, we really got derailed by the death of Stan Lee, so cross-examinations is not the... I find it difficult to focus on what we should be focusing on right now. So, anyways, thank you for being here. Let me pop this off here. At Blacklist Verse. You like that new thing? Anyways, sorry, my head is so discombobulated right now.
You'll believe in heroes again.
God bless you all. Thank you for coming. We'll try to get back on track tomorrow. I might have Eric Nienoltowski on, and we may be debating Calvinism. So, thank you, and God bless.